Welcome to the Bible Breakdown. It's a black man and woman in America who no longer identify as believers. This show contains adult languages, themes, and isn't meant for children. As black people, we respect the history of the black church in America, but its current state is massively abusive, and we think the Bible might be part of the problem. Listen and let us know what you think. Peace.
We're recording. We're back. I'm Kat. It's T. Boom. Bible Breakdown. Did it.
Yeah.
We're back for another episode. Today we're going to start on Genesis 25 of the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. I believe we were texting this week, and you were sharing about you sent me a clip from Joe Rogan about hallucinogens causing religion.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I actually haven't watched the clip yet. I think I've actually probably seen it before. I had told you I probably, whatever it says, I probably agree with it. I think a lot of what we know is what became religion and spirituality and all this other stuff probably was very much influenced by people who were either under the influence of hallucinogenics or mentally ill.
Yeah, I went down a rabbit hole this entire week, and it was just talking about God, this does sound better. I should have turned up the gain a long time ago. Anyway,
you're welcome,
but
listeners.
I went down this rabbit hole this week of Joe Rogan podcast. I listen to him often. I don't agree with everything he says or does, but that's neither here nor there. A lot of his stuff, he really talks about just like religion and the world and how we came to be and the theories behind all that. Really interesting stuff. And it just always brings me back to my point that, there's several different religions out there. Who's to say who's right? A lot of it is probably just, somebody was like, oh, I like their story, I'm gonna spin it like this. It's just, it's similar to what we see in Hollywood all the time. It's just like, oh, there's like film happens and guy needs to go on revenge war. Like, how many times have we seen that story like it played out in different ways? So I think like
the hero's journey, very much so. Yeah.
Religion is,
I've never agreed with you so much. This is fantastic. I almost don't want to ruin it.
I still I won't go so far as to be an atheist like you. I just am comfortable with saying like I don't know. And I'm okay with not knowing because we'll all find out soon enough.
I feel like that is sort of the atheist position. I know enough to know that this isn't real. Like, that's all I'm really saying. Like, when we talk about like different religions, I think they're all wrong, but right too, in different ways. Like, they get some stuff right, they get some stuff wrong. I think the danger comes in when we're like, we can't question this. This is infallible. And my whole thing is like, I'm too much of an American. I'm always gonna like push back and ask questions. And
well, if China has their way,
listen, and you know what's funny though?
That any longer.
You know what's funny though? Like China, they'll let them in now, but China used to outlaw the Bible. I remember the church I belonged to like used to sneak Bibles into China. Like, that was one of our ministries. And of course, I always thought it was a terrible idea, and I was never personally going to do it. But I know our family, like, we give money to the missionaries who were doing that brave work of another thing I realized too is just sort of with the history of European colonization across the globe, and that Western Christianity is mostly what the Western colonizers brought with them when they were dominating these cultures. Eventually Christianity became sort of a status symbol because your oppressors have all this status and money, and they're Christian. It's like, well, maybe I'll get status and money if I'm Christian, and adopt their God because their God is obviously blessing them. So I think that is because, have you ever heard of cargo cults?
No, what is that?
We'll probably have to do a whole show on cargo cults, but basically when a lot of these European countries were colonizing island nations, the islanders didn't have like a reference for there being another like large landmass that these colonists were getting supplies from. So they started worshiping the boats and like the cargo ships. And what was crazy is Prince Philip, who just died, he was basically kind of like the head of a lot of the, like, even though he didn't start the religion, he was sort of worshipped as a deity in some of these cargo cults. It's fascinating. We'll get to it. But today we're supposed to be breaking down chapters 25, 26, and 27 of Genesis. So we're gonna get to that. You have to read, so I'm gonna let you finish your omelet and hash browns.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, it's all right. I mean, I have a lot more left, so let's just get
Okay,
into
all
it.
right, let's power through. I can't wait to get into the word.
Oh yeah, it's just been calling me all week. All right, so Genesis 25. So today, just a quick recap of
Oh yeah, last time on the Bible breakdown.
I was just gonna do this time. I don't.
Well, we
What?
do need to catch everybody up.
All right.
Because we were talking about Abraham and he did some stuff in the last chapter, right?
Yeah.
Like his wife
Yep. There
died.
was the marriage of Isaac and Rebecca. We had that.
Mm-hmm. Who's
Yeah,
Abraham's son.
Sarah or Sarai, she finally died. She had a burial.
Finally. Couldn't stand
And then
that.
they haggled over where the fuck she was going to get buried, which was really, really annoying. The command, and then there was the command to sacrifice Isaac, which
Oh,
that I think to me personally, that is the most interesting story that I've personally heard thus far in this entire Bible because I just like
even more
if
than
my
when God drowned everybody.
well, we haven't got to that part, have we? We already
We
did that.
we did Noah's Ark, didn't we?
Noah's Ark
Yeah.
is in Genesis.
Yes, sir.
Shit, I'm so terrible with this people. Sorry.
I think
But
I'm
we've taken
editing that one right now. Yeah.
we've taken breaks in between
Yeah.
obviously recording these. So my timeline is messed up. I do apologize. All the believers and even
It's okay. I'll edit
non-believers
this
out
out
there.
and you'll still sound smart.
Oh no, you can keep this in. Again, I'm okay with not knowing, but regardless, yeah. So
So
what the
yeah,
heck was I
everybody's all
saying
caught
again?
up. We're all caught up
I was
on
gonna
the
make a
Bible.
point there. Oh
Oh,
no,
about Abraham
uh,
trying to kill his son.
yeah, that's the most interesting story to me because I just think like if my parents or my dad took me, like my dad does construction, so like if he would have took me on like one of his jobs and was just like tried to murder me.
He'd have been like, "Hey T, hand me that hammer."
Yeah, like
It'll make you be like, "Dad, there's no nails. What are you gonna? What are you doing? What are you doing?"
I'm just like the trauma that would go along with that, and then you like would never trust your father again, and you would never want to be alone with him again. And
Well, you
so
would think so, but when you study the pathology of abuse, you still would. People get abused by their parents all the time and still stick around and love them.
no, for sure, but it'd just be
It'd be
like,
weird though. He's like, "Dad, you made it weird."
yeah, it would be
It'd
really
be hard to
strange.
come back from that one. But I imagine like this time period, life was probably just unending abuse.
Yeah,
You
I
know, with all
mean,
the slavery and
but
circumcision and
yeah, circumcision without anesthetic kind of
it's
sucks.
a weird time. Once I was always taught to sort of venerate these figures and their devotion to the Lord, but it does just now it just reads like these were just a bunch of dusty desert dwellers who like to go into other people's land and um,
Yeah,
tell them to get circumcised and um, have
it's
sex with
really
their half
hard.
sisters and be illiterate.
It's really hard to just believe in a God that allows again so much suffering and so much like in where it
It's
doesn't really
commonly known as the problem of evil, like in one of the arguments against God, because it's like, well, either God is either omnipotent or benevolent, but he can't be both because he lets too much evil stuff happen. Like, if
what's the difference?
so, like, let's say, for instance, like on a smaller scale, like if I were, let's say just for me, because I like pretending that I am the most supreme powerful being in the universe. So let's just say, for instance, that's me.
Okay.
And I have the power to do anything. And I saw that you were constantly being beaten and um, starved by a family member, or like, and I could see that happening, and I had the power to stop it, but I don't. So that means I'm not benevolent. That means
Right.
I'm like willing to, even though I have the power to make this happen, because that's the thing, like there's suffering, but and then there's also unnecessary suffering. So like, yeah, sometimes you do have to suffer through stuff for something good to happen, but sometimes suffering, it doesn't have any purpose. And I don't, that's the thing too with this God person, like why you could not do that.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand why God couldn't be both omnipotent and benevolent, but apparently God is not. Um, which is, I don't know, that's another thing. I don't know. I just choose to believe in more existentialism, where you kind of create your own meaning and you see that the shit happens in the world, but you take it and you're like, that is the way of the
Yeah.
world.
Because
And
who's I don't know.
I know we can get into it because you people are probably out there thinking, just read the damn text.
Maybe they are thinking that. So yeah, let's get back into the stuff.
All right. Also, before I start, I just wanted to say reading these aloud made me just realize how bad of a reader I am aloud. So
I would push back. I actually think you do a very good job. Reading out loud is difficult. It's not easy to do. It's not natural at all. Go easier on yourself. I think you're doing a great job. You're doing a bang up job.
Genesis 25. Abraham marries
Attaboy,
Keturah.
T.
Abraham took another wife whose name was Keturah. Damn, he didn't even wait. She
We
bore
don't
him.
know. We don't know what they didn't give a time. Maybe he respected her. He waited respectful.
Sarah died. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna bury her wherever I want," and then he didn't wait. But
we
that's
don't know. And plus it was his
that's what
sister
happens
too.
in my
He
story.
probably waited like, because I think a Jewish tradition is sitting Shiva after, is that it? Sitting Shiva? I might be saying it wrong, but like it's a tradition where like you just sit quietly after someone dies. So let's just assume Abraham did that. Say he started that off.
Okay.
And it's just not in the text. It's just understood that he waited a respectful amount of time when his wife / sister died. I'm going to keep bringing it up.
Abraham took another wife whose name was Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan was the father of Sheba and Dedan. The sons of Dedan were Ashurim, Letushim, and Uman. The sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Hanak, Abida, and Ida.
Say Elda.
All these were. Oh, is that an L? Sorry, I thought that was I. Okay, Elda. All these were the children of Keturah. See again with the reiteration of everything. Abraham gave all he had to Isaac, but to the sons of his concubines, Abraham gave gifts while he was still living, and he sent them away from his son Isaac eastward to the east country. Okay. Abraham, the death of Abraham. He's finally out of here.
Yeah, fuck this guy. He keeps having all these kids and sending them off so he can just be like, it always makes it like it's a virtue that he favored Isaac. That's not a virtue. Like when you treat one of your kids way better than the other ones just because you liked his mom more because she was your sister, like that doesn't make him a good guy.
Okay. Well, he's gonna die now. So
good. Bye. Goodbye, Abraham.
This is the length of Abraham's life, 175 years. Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age. 175 years. I'll come back to that.
Once again, this was before the creation of the Gregorian calendar, so there's no way these are our years, the way we count years.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was going with. An old man and full of his years and was gathered to his people. His son Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron son of Zohar the Hittite, east of Mamre, the field that Abraham purchased from the Hittites. Then there Abraham was buried with his wife Sarah. After the death of Abraham, God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac settled at Birthright.
Excellent.
Okay, yeah. Ishmael's descendants. These are the descendants of Ishmael. The Bible just keeps throwing these names at me like I'm gonna fucking remember these people down the road. Like this literally the equivalent of like bad movies or TV. When they throw a character in there, it's like they do something that you feel like is so insignificant, and then like hours later or seasons later they bring this person back and they're like, hey, remember this person? I'm like, no, I don't fucking remember. Like all these people, they keep telling me, I'm just like, dude. Anyway,
you better care. This is the Bible.
These are the descendants of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar, the Egyptian, Sarah's slave girl, bore to Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael. Ishmael in the order of their birth: Neboith, the firstborn of Ishmael, and Kedar, Adbel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Masa, Hadad, Tima, Jator, Napish, and Kedema. Man, Ishmael was getting it in. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their villagers. And he was shooting all boys. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm sure there were girls. They're just not worthy of being listed.
Yeah, they're not mentioned.
There you
Nobody
go.
cares about the women. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their villages and by their encampments. 12 princes according to the tribes. This is the length of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. He breathed his last and died and was gathered to his people. They settled from Havilah to Shur, which is opposite Egypt in the direction of Assyria. Finally a name I recognize. Assyria. He settled down alongside all of his people. Isn't Assyria still a place, or Syria is a place? Probably not the same.
Syria.
Place.
Yeah, Syrian is like an ancient empire people.
Yeah. Gotcha. The birth and youth of Esau and Jacob. These are descendants of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham was the father of Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel, the Armenian of Padan Aram, sister of Laban, the Aramean. I don't know.
I think you had it right for Aramean.
Okay.
Aramean? I don't know.
Isaac prayed to the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord, man, that's happening a lot here. Isaac prays to the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord granted his prayer, and his wife Rebekah conceived. The children struggled together within her, and she said, if it is to be this way, why do I live? She went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples born of you shall be divided. The one shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. What the fuck, God? Just whatever. When her time to give birth,
it was nice of God to talk to her, though. God doesn't usually talk to women. That was dope.
Fair, but also like you just out the gate are saying like, yeah, one's gonna suck, one is cool. Like what? Come on, like
yeah, it kind of pushes against the benevolence narrative.
When her time to give birth was at hand, there were twins in her womb. The first came out red, all his body like a hairy mantle, so they named him Esau. Afterward, his brother came out with his hand gripping Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. When the boys grew up, Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, while Jacob was a quiet man, living in tents. Isaac loved Esau because he was fond of game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Esau sells his birthright. Once, when Jacob was cooking the stew, Esau came in from the field and he was famished. Esau said to Jacob, let me eat some of that red stuff, for I am famished. Therefore, he was called Edom. Jacob said, first, sell me your birthright. Like, that escalated so quickly. Let me have some of your food. Okay, give me your inheritance. Like,
It's a
what?
barter culture. We've already established bartering is very important apparently in this culture. So he's starting out high. He's like, I have the higher ground. I have the food. Also, it's well. Let's finish this chapter up so we can talk
Yeah,
about it.
okay. Esau said, I'm about to die. Of what use to birthright is me? What? Jacob said, swear to me first. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank and rose and went away. Thus Esau despised his birthright. What? Like that? Go ahead.
No. Well, first and foremost, when I remember reading the story in school and in church, what my biggest question was like, what is a birthright?
I mean, I always just took it like inheritance.
Like an inheritance. Okay.
Yeah.
And so the way it was described to me was that it was kind of like like the father's blessing, because since there's two sons and only one of them can like technically, I guess, be like the heir, um, even though um Jacob was the younger, so technically he wouldn't be the heir. And also Esau was just the favorite of his father. It sounds like Esau was the favorite of his father and Jacob was the favorite of his mother. And yeah, just right out the gate, I'm gonna start high. Here's the other thing too. It sounds like Esau, was maybe like more of a jock and Jacob was more of the quiet nerd. Like, why didn't Esau just be like, move it, nerd, I want some stew? Because I feel like all the brothers I know, like, it's not this whole like, let me quietly negotiate with you. It's usually more of a, I'm gonna quiet, I'm gonna just sort of basically torture you until we kind of hate each other mostly. I'm saying all this, I'm an only child. I don't have any brothers or sisters. This is just observational. But this is finally getting into some like good narrative. Because here's another thing, spoilers, guys. This part of the Bible is narrative. A lot of the Bible is not a cohesive narrative. A lot of it is just sort of
Oh,
instructions and
shocker.
listing stuff. Yeah. So enjoy this while you can. This is actually some action going on. So we've got twins. That's always like a nice plot twist. I like how Rebecca was like, why do I even live? This is so uncomfortable. Her pregnancy apparently. But yeah, this was yes, as I said earlier, glad Abraham died, was not a fan of his. Ishmael, I never really had any beef with Ishmael. I mean, I don't know anything that he ever really did wrong other than just being born of a slave woman, so and once again they were nice to bring up the fact that Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's slave girl, um once again, not the kind of thing I like reading in a holy book.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you have any comment on that chapter?
No. I mean, you pretty much summed it up. Let's just see where this goes.
Okay. I know where it goes. Because and here's another spoiler, Jacob's kind of a piece of shit too. Okay. Genesis chapter 26, Isaac and Abimelech. Now there was a famine in the land, besides the former famine that had occurred in the days of Abraham, and Isaac went to Gerar, to King Abimelech of the Philistines. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, do not go down to Egypt. Settle in the land that I shall show you. Reside in this land as an alien, and I will be with you, and I will bless you. For to you and to your descendants I will give all these lands, and I will fulfill the oath that I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your offspring as numerous as the stars of the heaven, and I will give your offspring all these lands, and all the nations of the earth shall gain blessings for themselves through your offspring, because Abraham obeyed my voice, which is definitely my voice and not the crazy voice in his head, and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. So Isaac settled in Gerar. When the men of the place asked him about his wife, he said, she is my sister. For he was afraid to say, my wife, thinking, or else men of the place might kill me for the sake of Rebekah, because she is attractive in appearance. When Isaac had been there a long time, King Abimelech of the Philistines looked out of a window and saw him fondling his wife Rebekah. So Abimelech called for Isaac and said, "So she is your wife? Why then did you say she is my sister?" Isaac then said to him, "Because I thought I might die because of her." Abimelech said, "What is this you've done to us? One of the people might have easily lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us." So Abimelech warned all the people, saying, "Whoever touches this man or his wife shall be put to death." Isaac sowed seed in that land, and that same year he reaped 100-fold. The Lord blessed him, and the man became rich. He prospered more and more until he became very wealthy. He had possessions of flocks and herds and a great household, so that the Philistines envied him. Now the Philistines had stopped up and filled with earth all the wells that his father's servants had dug in the days of his father Abraham. And Abimelech said to Isaac, "Go away from us. You have become too powerful for us." So Isaac departed there and camped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. Isaac dug again the wells of water that had been dug in the days of his father Abraham, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham, and he gave them the names that his father had given them. But when Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found there a well of spring water, the herders of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herders, saying, "The water is ours." So he called the well Ezek, because they contended with him. When they dug another well, they quarreled over that one also, so they called it Sitnah. He moved from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it, so he called it Rehoboth, saying, "Now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land." From there he went up to Beersheba, and that very night the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you and will bless you and make your offspring numerous for my servant Abraham's sake." So he built an altar there, called on the name of the Lord, and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants dug a well. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar with Ahuzzath, his advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his army. Isaac said to them, "Why have you come to me, seeing that you hate me and have sent me away from you?" They said, "We see plainly that the Lord has been with you. So we say, let there be an oath between you and us. Let us make a covenant with you so that you do us no harm, just that we have not touched you and have done you nothing but good and have sent you away in peace. You are now blessed of the Lord." So he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. In the morning they rose early and exchanged oaths, and Isaac sent them on their way, and they departed from him in peace. That same day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug, and said to him, so he made them a feast, and that same day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug, and said to him, "We have found water." He called it Shibah. Therefore, the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. Esau's Hittite wives. When Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basemath, daughter of Elon the Hittite, and they made life bitter for Isaac and Rebekah. Thanks be to God.
Alrighty.
Yeah, buddy.
A lot of nonsense going on right now, but okay.
Well,
Again,
what's the first instance of nonsense that comes to your mind?
again, I guess my issue with the Bible up until this point is it tries to be a history book, but also like a cautionary tale at the same time, or a lesson.
Morality tales.
The morality book too. So it's like in the history, it gives you like a lot of this fluff, like what you just fucking read, that really cannot be applied to my life in any practical way. And so
Well, you did learn a pretty good trick that Isaac and Abraham did, which is if you ever go somewhere and you're with a girl who's super hot, you can just say, "This is my sister, don't kill me." And then everyone, when they figure out you're lying, they'll be super nice to you afterwards.
Yeah, that's not a real lesson. I know
No,
you
it's
were
not.
saying that to be funny,
No,
but like,
no,
yeah,
that wouldn't work
no,
out at all.
yeah, no. I just,
I like the word. I didn't know word. The Bible had the word fondling in it. That was fun.
well, this is also the New Revised Standard Version, which has been translated to,
I don't know what ancient Hebrew is for fondling, but I'd like to know
yeah. But yeah, that I mean, again, that's just my thing. Like everything you just read, I don't think there's no reason for me to know that.
it. That didn't feed your spirit.
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
But what's your take?
Well, once again, uh, I know Isaac is supposed to be our protagonist, but I don't have like a ton of like empathy for him. That's what usually in storytelling you want to build like compassion for your protagonist because that makes you care. But once again, Isaac is just he's a liar and a coward because he doesn't want to basically have to fight anyone because they want to bone his wife. The I mean, so much of this stuff is just about kind of politics, like water rights. Like that's something that still goes on now. The way they solved it was just keep digging wells until finally they stopped arguing over them. So I guess maybe that's a lesson: keep digging wells until you stop fighting. Um,
Okay.
oh, also too, the name Judith, because it's saying Esau, took on to Hittite wives, and it sounds like that's going to be because that's the thing. This was the thing when I was reading that it sparked because this is once again it's supposed to be the religion of like a lot of Western colon, like the English, or not even just English, but the Europeans, like the idea that God is promising this land to Isaac, and the reason he's giving is because your dad always listened to me and was even going to kill you when I asked him to. So because of that, I'm going to bless you and bless him with this land that already has other people in it, which is a very familiar narrative if you know the history of the United States, which is there's already some people here, but there's some people arriving who think they deserve it more, and God promised it to them. And so that's where I think a lot of believing in this stuff can get a little dangerous because just because you believe in this voice in your head that's telling you you're entitled to everything, I'm not hearing that voice. So you're going to need to give me better reasons for why you're burning my house right now. Like that's the to me the conceit. Like do you remember like learning about manifest destiny in school?
Uh, no, actually.
Okay, so manifest destiny was this concept when basically when the colonizers or the colonists or however you want to refer to the Europeans who came over here were when they were trying to expand to the West Coast, basically, so that with the gold rush and all this different, the Western expansion. The idea behind it was the concept of manifest destiny, which is the idea that basically God has promised like the land of the United States to these, quote unquote explorers. So it's
Mm,
their destiny to take all of this over, regardless of who's already there.
gotcha.
So
Mm,
that's to me that reading what they're saying God is telling Isaac, it to me reminds me what kind of plays in the head of a lot of sort of this Western European and now sort of United American idea of, well, because we have God on our side, we can go into anywhere because God will bless us, because this is obviously what God wants us to do, because these people are here worshiping the wrong God and we have the right God.
this is why people need therapy.
Deeply, man, I wish I was in therapy right now.
I am. It does wonders, man.
It,
Go even
well,
when
I
you're
mean, no,
happy.
like this very minute, like instead of doing this
Oh,
podcast, I should be in therapy right now. Um,
which is crazy. I actually do therapy through uh I won't say the name of the place, but it's a Christian based organization.
well, I mean, hey, you got to get it where you can.
And so
So I go out of my way to find secular therapy, but do you, boo?
No, but they don't like try to convert you, like I've never,
Hmm.
my particular therapist, like we've never
Listeners, be on the lookout when a couple episodes when T is telling us that he has a new life in Christ.
No, absolutely not. We've never discussed God or anything like that unless I've brought it up. Like she does not try
Okay,
to sell me
that's
on.
good.
I don't
I
even know if she's a Christian, honestly, because I think she's just like interning. But whatever.
well, I remember, but yeah, that's pretty much what I took from this. Oh, but when they're talking about like the Hittite wife that Isaac, or the two Hittite wives, one of them was Judith, and I should always come more prepared for these. Next episode, I'm gonna actually like read ahead and be prepared because I'm not sure, but I think in the Apocrypha, which is like not the Apocrypha, is that what it's called? Like basically the verses that are in the Catholic Bible that aren't in the Protestant Bible, which we're reading the Protestant Bible. There's a story about a
Are
Judith.
we?
Yeah, this is the Protestant Bible because there's more like chapters in the Catholic Bible.
Why aren't we reading that one?
Huh?
Why aren't we reading that one?
You wanted to read the New Revised Standard Version.
I wanted to read the version that was easy to read, and again, I didn't want to feel like I was doing 16th century
We
Shakespeare or whatever.
can maybe we can do if this actually takes off, maybe we could do like a bonus episode where we read the Apocrypha or whatever. But for now,
Or
we're
just
just
read the chapters that we missed. I don't want to read this thing over again. Sorry, people.
what else? I mean, the Apocrypha is just the missing book, like the books that were taken out during the Protestant Revolution. I think Mark. I can't remember who took them out, but basically they were too Jewy, so they were removed to make room for I don't know. But there's a story about a woman named Judith who
So, according
seduces.
to God as we knew it, Google, the biblical apocrypha denotes the collection of the apocryphal ancient books thought to have been written sometime between 200 BC and 400 AD. Some Christian churches include some or all of the same texts within the body of the version of the Old Testament. Um, Lutheran, maybe it's
The Lutherans. That's like the original Protestant church, kind of,
okay.
because
I was
that's
trying to
like.
see who you said you couldn't remember who took it out.
Well, I just
Um,
know that Martin Luther, like that was, I think that was one of his like beefs. Like, remember the 40 Theses or whatever he nailed
what?
on the Vatican or
Is he
whatever.
the one who he wanted to divorce his wife?
No,
Oh, okay.
you're thinking of Henry VIII.
Yeah, he started his own shit. That's so gangster, by the way.
Yeah, he started the Anglican Church. That was in England. I'm thinking of Germany though.
Oh,
Martin
okay.
Luther was, I think he was a priest who had a lot of beefs. He kicked off the Protestant Revolution. Whatever. This isn't a history lesson. We're just trying to read the
No,
Bible.
no, it
Um,
absolutely is.
well,
This is
yeah.
actually to me more interesting than anything we've read personally. But
Well, because it's real life. Like real truth is always stranger than fiction, and I think this could go under the Bible could go under fiction. But anyway, Judith, she if I'm probably remembering the story wrong because this wasn't part of my education. This is something I read later on as an adult. But I think she was a Hebrew woman. I don't think she was a Hittite. I think she was a Hebrew, and like the Jews, were at war, and so she seduced the captain of the enemy and like had her come into her tent. She had sex with him, and then while he was asleep she stuck a like a tent spike in his head and killed him,
wow, that's
and kind of ended the war. And
moral of the story: never let a strange woman sleep over.
I mean, that's a really good rule. That's a good rule for everybody across the board. Like, yeah, you shouldn't sleep with people. Like, you are assuming a certain amount of risk when you sleep with people you don't know, especially when you're at war. But listen, to me, that story rings very true because I mean, you're in battle, you could die at any time anyway. You might as well nail this chick, and she nailed you. Boom.
I
Um,
don't know if it was worth it,
no,
but anyway.
probably not. I mean, but I mean, he'd be dead now anyway. Maybe it was worth it to him.
Who is this person?
I need to find this story.
Who was the chick?
Judith.
Judith.
Because I remember there's like a
Right,
painting of her. Because that's the thing that made me look at the story originally. Because I think I was at the Institute of Art in Chicago, like at the museum, and like, or the museum art, whatever. So it's a museum.
Judith who?
What do you mean? These people don't have last names. It's the Bible, Judith Bible. I don't know.
Oh, so this story is coming up.
No, I think the story I'm talking about isn't in this version of the Bible
Book
that
of
we're
Judith.
reading. Yeah, there is a book of Judith, but it's not in this Bible. Just like I think the book, like right now, Genesis is part of like the Pentateuch or something like that, which is like the first 5 books of the Bible. Like sometimes the collections of books have names themselves.
Anybody out there who wants to be more, who's listening and knows what the fuck we're actually talking about, you can decipher through this. Please email us, DM, whatever. Send us this. I'll try to do some research on my end too. But again, this sounds way more interesting than what the fuck we've actually been reading. So
I wouldn't mind doing like an episode about the history of creating the Bible, because it is very interesting. Like this
we
collection.
can do that once we get through all the stories. I mean,
that'll take a
while. I mean, it will. So we'll throw some of this in there. We'll do the stories, you know. But I mean, I don't foresee this stopping anytime soon.
It's a long book, man.
Unless God calls one of us home. So, and even then, the other person just has to continue the man.
Yes, exactly. The journey for knowledge never ends. But yeah, I just remember once again, like, this is just nebulous stuff in my brain ball. I'm not an expert, obviously. I just remember seeing a painting of like a nude woman, like with her arm and like with a hammer in her hand, and it was about to strike down. And it's a really powerful painting. I was like, oh, this is dope. And I remember reading the description. I was like, I don't remember this story from the Bible. And then I found out, it was like, oh, there's whole books of the Bible that aren't even in your Bible. I'm like, what? And
I'm surprised. So I don't know these since I went to like Catholic school.
Catholic, you know, it's interesting too, is because I went to Protestant and Catholic school. Protestants are real big on biblical literalism. So they push reading the Bible really hard. Whereas like when I was going to Catholic school, like, yeah, the Bible's important, but they really don't want the regular parishioners reading the Bible at home by themselves. Like, you're just supposed to listen to the part of the Bible we read during Mass. Like, don't worry about all that other stuff. We'll take care of that. So to me, it's not surprising that a lot of people don't know about this stuff, because depending on what type of church you went to, they may or may not have encouraged you to read the Bible on your own. And also, too, some of the stories, depending on what kind of church you went to, they may or may not have this version of the stories in the Bible. So,
well, I found the article that it kind of explains what you were wanting, but we live in a day and age where every website you go to wants your fucking email, and it's annoying. So I can't really read it for us.
Everybody, do your own research. Don't take our. Wasn't that
no? Absolutely, Rainbow? Listen to us and no one else.
Like, obey us without question. No, do your own stuff, figure it out. You know, don't. I used to love that Reading Rainbow, and LeVar Burton would be like, but don't take my word for it. It's like, just, that's the beauty of reading. You can read it yourself and take what you want from it, and who knows, maybe you'll be like, yeah,
LeVar Burton is a goddamn Black national treasure.
He is. I love him so much. He's just. Have you ever listened to his podcast?
No, I didn't know he had one.
Oh, it's called.
Everybody has a podcast now.
You better have a podcast. So he, I'm subscribed to it. I don't catch all of them, but he just reads a short story in his beautiful,
so soothing,
Dorset tones. It's so relaxing and amazing, and it puts you into like really good writers and stuff like too. So yeah, this is not an ad, but check out LeVar Burton Reads on all audio platforms.
Okay, people, we wasted enough of your time.
We have.
Finish with this last book, Genesis 27, or not last book, but
of our for today.
Yeah, chapter. Well, it's not a book because Genesis.
Oh, that's right. These are chapters. Yeah, Genesis is the book. The chapter.
Yeah, sorry, I want to be technical.
Oh, it's called Isaac blesses Jacob. I wonder if he grabs his thigh. Remember when Abraham's servant did that? Grabbed his thigh.
Yeah.
to start this. You know, I like that. That's one of my favorite human being parts. I love thighs. Thighs are really sexy.
Verse 1. When Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called his elder son Esau and said to him, "My son." And he answered, "Here I am." He said, "See, I am old. I do not know the day of my death. Now then, take your weapons, your quiver, and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me. Then prepare for me savory food such as I like, and bring to me to eat. Bring it to me to eat, so that I may bless you before I die." Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to his son Esau. So when Esau went to the field to hunt for game and bring it, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "I heard your father say to your brother Esau, bring the game and prepare for me savory fruit to eat, and that I may bless you before the Lord before I die. Now, therefore, my son, obey my words as I command to you. Go to the flock and get me 2 choice kids, so that I may prepare from them savory food for your father, such as he likes. And you shall take it to your father to eat, so that he may bless you before he dies." But Jacob said to his mother Rebekah, "Look, my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I am a man of smooth skin. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall seem to be mocking him, and bring a curse on myself and not a blessing." His mother said to him, "Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my word and go get them for me." So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and his mother prepared savory food such as his father loved. Then Rebekah took the best garments of her elder son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them on her younger son Jacob. And she put the skins of the kids on his hands and on the smooth part of his neck. Then she handed the savory food and the bread, and she had prepared to her son Jacob. So he went to his father and said, "My father." And he said, "Here I am. Who are you, my son?" Because their voices sound alike, but whatever. Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I've done it as you told me. Now sit up and eat of my game, and say that you may bless me." But Isaac said to his son, "How is it you have found it so quickly, my son?" He answered, "Because the Lord your God granted me success." Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near, that I may feel you, my son, to know whether you are really my son Esau or not." So then Jacob went up to his father Isaac, who felt him and said, "The voice is Jacob's." Yeah, exactly. Yeah. "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him because his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him and he said, "Are you really my son Esau?" He answered, "I am." Then he said, "Bring it to me, that I may eat of my son's game and bless you." So he brought it to him, and he ate, and he brought him wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come near and kiss me, my son." So he came near and kissed him on the lips, and he smelled the smell of the garments and blessed him and said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of the field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of the dew of heaven and of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers. May your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you." Esau's lost blessing. Jeez, this is a long chapter.
This is a really long one.
As soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, when Jacob had scarcely gone out from the presence of his father Isaac, his brother Esau came in from his hunting. He also prepared savory food and brought it to his father. And he said to his father, "Let my father sit up and eat of his son's game, so that you may bless me." His father Isaac said to him, "Who are you?" He answered, "I am your firstborn, Esau." Then Isaac trembled violently and said, Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? And I ate it all before you came, and I have blessed him. Yes, and blessed he shall be. And when Esau heard his father's words, he cried out, "Ah!" with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his brother, "Bless me also, father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully, and he has taken away your blessing." Because, yeah, you can't bless 2 people. It's just
Everybody knows that.
It's magic. It only
Exactly.
works. You only have a finite amount of it. Esau said, "Is he not right rightly named Jacob, for he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and look, now he has taken away my blessing. See, that's what I was saying. You were saying birthright and blessing were the same thing, but I don't feel like it is. Then he said, have you not reserved a blessing for me? Isaac answered Esau, I have already made him your Lord, and I gave him all his brothers as servants, and with grain and wine have sustained him. What then can I do for you, my son? Esau said to his father, have you only one blessing, father? Please bless me. Me also, father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And then his father Isaac answered him, see away from the fatness of the earth shall your home be, and away from the dew of heavens on high. Be your sword, you shall live, and you shall serve. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. But when you break loose, you shall break his yoke from your neck. What? Jacob escapes Esau's fury. Verse 41. Now Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing with which his father had blessed him, and Esau said to himself, the days of mourning for my father are approaching. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. But the words of her elder son Esau were told to Rebekah, and so she sent and called her younger son Jacob and said to him, your brother Esau is consoling himself by planning to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a while until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger against you turns away, and he forgets what you have done to him. He's not forgetting that. He's not. Then I will send and bring you back from there, and then he will kill you. Then, why should I lose both of you in one day? Then Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the Hittite women. If Jacob marries one of the Hittite women, such as these, one of the women of the land, what good will my life be to me? Drama.
Very much so. Now keep in mind, Esau is pretty dumb, so maybe he will forget about it.
I think he's just depicted that way. I don't think he's like you said, he's just a jock, but like, why would he forget that?
I mean, I'm just joking, but I mean, spoilers, he doesn't forget, but he does like let it go. Because at a certain point, once again, for this story to work, you have to believe that this old man has the power to bless people and curse them, and that apparently their mother doesn't. Like, that's the thing. I don't know. To me, it was always kind of weird because maybe my internet connection is unstable. Your interconnection's unstable. Computer.
Yeah, you're back now. I can.
Okay. So, well, I mean, once again, like, this story never really hit that hard because I didn't think that like human beings really had the power to like really affect people by saying words over them. Like you said, like you'd have to kind of believe in magic. I guess that's one thing I realized this week, that I do not respect magical thinking at all. Like, it's the same thing with like psychics and the zodiac and all this other stuff. I am not a fan of magical thinking.
I think there's something to it. I think that you have to get outside of yourself, because where some people will argue that there's no merit, it's not rooted in science. I would also argue that there are things out there that we cannot explain, and everything seems to be interconnected.
It doesn't mean it's magic. Like, people didn't understand.
No, it doesn't mean it's magic. I wouldn't call things in this story, this is absolutely magic. But outside of this story, I would say things like zodiac and stars. Yeah, this is like an energy thing.
I'm not into the zodiac. I'm at all.
I think it's a good conversation starter, but I despise people who walk around saying, "Oh,
it's
you're
a way to
this,
talk up
you're
hot
this."
People you don't have anything in common with. That's all it's good for. It's like, oh, yeah, so you're. I'm gonna start. No, I told my daughters and started doing this yesterday, where I'm gonna go into everything. Where I'm just like, well, yeah, since I'm a Pisces, I'm very sensitive, and but every time I say it, I'm just gonna change the sign and see if anybody notices, because you can assign any personality trait to any sign.
No, I know. I'm gonna start doing that.
There'll be absolutely no pushback whatsoever, because when things are real, they can be studied, predicted, repeatable. Like that's the thing. I don't have a lot,
True,
but I
but
will say this because I used to be into astrology and the zodiac, but I realize now I only liked it because of the aesthetics. Like I like the sun,
it
moon,
looks cool.
stars, all this stuff. It's really pretty. It's usually really good typography. But
And
it's more
although
interesting to learn about actual space. Like you can actually just learn about the stars and planets, and it's way more interesting and it's actually useful.
this is a total sidebar, but all the like crystal chicks, I guess you would call them, or
Yeah,
like I don't
the
know what you
woo woo
like
girls.
the pseudo hippie type
The girls who are
those,
not religious but spiritual.
yeah,
And if you're
they
listening, thanks
all,
for listening. But you're
you all have
also,
the best sex. I just want to say
well, I don't know about all that. They're usually, well, I noticed that they
they're
tend to
very
be
free with their
super,
sex. Their
they
sex.
tend to be super hot girls, which means that they
Mhm.
don't get a lot of pushback, especially from people who want to sleep with them. So they don't get a lot of challenging to their ideas.
Just because
So
you're hot doesn't make your sex good. Like that.
no, I'm just talking about how other people treat you. Like it
That's not what
doesn't,
I'm talking about, Kat.
I know, I know.
K. What the fuck? Edit.
It's
That's
just, I
not
know
what I'm
that's
talking about, K.
okay. Or cat. I'm going by cat because I don't feel like switching it.
Oh,
Or K, whatever. Both's fine.
edit all
So it
this.
starts with a K.
That's not what I'm referring to.
Okay, but I was just referring to how hot people generally move in the world. And sure, I'm sure a lot of very attractive girls have very good sex too, but it doesn't mean that they're a lot of times they don't get a lot of pushback from people that because we've talked about this, like men don't want to like mess up their chances for getting sex, so they're just going to agree with you if you're an attractive girl
Unless you're
most of the
me,
time.
and then you're just stupid because you tell women the truth all the time. And sometimes you still get what you want, but the ones that you really wanted are like, fuck that.
Do you is this are we treading into the therapy territory now or
No, the point I was making before we even got into all of
right?
this
We're not even supposed to be
was
talking about this.
like,
We're talking about magical thinking basically, which is what you would need for this story to work on any real level, because really it would just be like, who cares who dad bless it, because a lot of this goes into, I'm realizing, because I come from a religious family, and I feel like this happens in most families. There usually are like the favorite child, like each parent, I don't know, because I'm an only child, so I was both my parents' favorite child, even though funny enough, I feel like with my dad, even if he had had other kids, I still would have been his favorite. I just have that feeling. And with my mom, I get the feeling I would not. Like our personalities are very different. So, but in these families and stuff like that, it usually ends up causing a lot of conflict and trauma, because it's usually pretty apparent which child the parents favor, because sometimes both parents like one child more than the other and they get more stuff. So I don't, once again, if this is supposed to be a morality tale, I don't know what lesson we're supposed to be taking from this other than you can trick old blind people.
which don't do. It's not cool.
Yeah, also if they're also kind of dumb, that helps too. And
Well,
if your
like
brother is also kind of dumb, I feel like
they made it
Isaac
seem like Jacob
or Esau
was
is
it Jacob?
kinda,
Jacob was, yeah, the father. They made it seem like he was.
no, Jacob's the son. Isaac is the father.
Oh, yes, Jacob and Esau. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Isaac. He was what? He's blind. Did they specified that, right?
I always took that from the story. I don't know
I mean,
that though.
it's implied, because
It's
how else would
implied.
he did not fucking
Yeah.
know who the fuck he was talking to?
His old.
Um,
It says his eyes were dim, so he could not see.
okay, so he was.
So yeah, they did say that. It was in the first sentence. But yeah, which is why reading is good. You can always reference things. But yeah, so far this family drama stuff, I don't think it's a very good illustration for how we should be in our own family lives. Once again, I can't give anybody like great advice. I'm a divorced mother of two, but I do try to treat both of my children, now it's a boy and a girl, and they're like 10 years apart, but I try to treat them as equally as I possibly can. But obviously they have different needs and need different treatment. But like, I'm not going to openly just, well, in like certain society, well, like let's say for instance, like in my will, I'll probably just, as much as I can equally leave them stuff, I will equally leave them stuff. Like in my insurance policy, like they'll both be equal beneficiaries. Like I wouldn't want to give one more to the other because that's messed up.
Yeah.
It's like I love them both. Like why would I openly like be like, oh well, you're the oldest male, so you get all the things. And even though I got all these other wives and concubines and kids that need taken care of, God seems pretty cool with me just favoring you because God has favorites, so I have favorites, so it's all good.
Yeah, I don't have children yet, so when I do, I don't know. I don't plan on having favorites, but we'll see how it goes.
I mean, sometimes you can't help it. I know I definitely have like favorite cousins, aunts, aunties, stuff like that. I mean, there's just certain people you get along with better, but you don't want to make like a show of it. Like, I don't want to go into stuff and be like, hey, it's my favorite cousin and all you other people. Like, you just, you know, try to keep it cool. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, I want to stay on time too because it does take a while for these to render. So next time we're going to find out about who Esau marries. And it looks like Jacob's ladder. Remember that? Jacob's ladder. That was the whole thing. Looks like we'll be getting into that. And then we'll looks like Jacob's gonna finally get some. And we'll learn all about that. I am very familiar with the story of Jacob and Laban's daughters. And guess what? We're going to get into more unconsensual sex. So we got that to look forward to, also known as rape.
Yep,
so
my favorite kind. No, not joking.
Please don't cancel
my favorite
us.
kind in this. Yeah, my favorite kind in this story is not in real life. It's horrible.
Yeah, that's just for role play, people.
In particular, this story, since they just keep dropping it in there, man. They keep dropping it in there, and it's
like it's nothing. Crazy. It's like it's just this casual slavery, casual rape, casual.
I wonder through evolution if like men just came to the conclusion like naturally we're stronger than women, so then like you have to do what we say, and then from that they were like, we're just gonna start doing all these arranged marriages because you have to do it, otherwise we'll beat you up.
It went something like that, yeah. Just the social evolution of it all, yeah. I think I'm really interested in learning about like ancient religions, like before Christianity, like in these societies. And I'm always really interested in female-led religions because the only religions I ever learned about growing up were all very patriarchal, like all the Abrahamic, because they're called the Abrahamic faiths, like Christianity, Judaism, Islam. They're all referred to as Abrahamic religions because he's like the founding patriarch of all these religions, but don't really like patriarchy. And I'm not sure matriarchy would be any better. I think it's better. Where did you get this breakfast from? I'm watching him eat this on the Zoom, and it looks amazing.
Lincoln Square.
Oh, then it is amazing. Okay, cool. I've got my fresh pressed juice though, so that's cool. It's got it's to support my immune health. It's tangerine mint tango. It's not toast, but at least I'll be super hot this summer.
Yeah, I need to go to the gym.
Yeah. So hopefully you can catch some of these wives and concubines.
That's the plan. That's the plan. But anyway, you brought up a good point about all of them being derivatives of Abraham, which again further just goes into my theory that this is all kind of made up.
It doesn't. Once again, I as much as because when I originally started reading the Bible just as an adult, it really was to reinforce my faith. Like I wanted to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and I thought,
you wanted him to talk to you?
Yes, I wanted to hear the voice of God. Like seriously, like what would be more important than that? If this actual God that they're saying exists, what would be more important than knowing what it wants and what why we're here. Like, to me, there was nothing more important. And then I start reading it and I'm like, ooh, oh, like, I don't want to admit it, but this is bad. And so I don't know, like, I'm not necessarily looking for a replacement religion, but studying the history of religions is important to me.
Do you think that that is the reason most people have never really read the Bible? Like, for instance, nobody really wants to do taxes. You hire an accountant, they do your taxes for you. So it's kind of, from what you just said, sparked a thought for me that maybe
Like priests or spiritual accountants.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah, basically, like, maybe people are just more comfortable. I mean, I know this to be true, but people are just more comfortable with, like, going to church. Their pastor tells them to open up to this chapter and we'll read this chapter, and then that's it. Like, they don't really take the time to read because, one, fuck reading, but two, like,
I know, what am I, a nerd?
but two, just like, maybe, as you said, sometimes people begin to read this stuff and it's just like so hard to comprehend, like, why this would happen. And so it's just easier to put it in the hands of somebody else who seems more qualified. But
I feel like
it's
the
really just their
laziness
prerogative.
bias always wins out. Like, there's a lot of biases. There's, like, right wing, left wing, liberal, conservative. The bias that's always going to win out is the laziness bias. So yes, I think part of it is like, yeah, no one wants to actually sit and read this, but I've always been kind of a renegade. Even in school, I was reading ahead of the history book. Like, I'm bored. Like, I need something to do. My brain is tired. So
Have we ever had an atheist president?
no, not openly. No.
Hmm.
Like, you can't even, honestly, trying to find an atheist like politician is almost impossible. It'd have to be in like a real liberal area. Like, I think, because I technically think Bernie Sanders is an atheist. Like, technically, I think he's Jewish, but he's not like a practicing Jew. That's how I
Well,
knew he was never going to be president, because it's like, America's not going to vote for a socialist Jew, like, who's not even that into Judaism. Like, it's never going to happen. So
well,
I mean, not
newsflash,
anytime soon. I would like to have, and just so you know, I'm not anti-Semitic. I would love to have a Jewish president. The fewer
newsflash.
Jews,
A
the
lot
better.
of these people are just not practicing what they preach as far as politics, but that's whole nother, or,
You
well,
think?
as far, I mean, I'm sorry, I said politics, as far as like religion. I can't.
Oh yeah. Oh, one of my favorite bits on the Daily Show, or was it the Colbert Report? It was Stephen Colbert. So he's either on his show or the Daily Show, and he was interviewing one of the Congress people who, remember when they were doing this big push where they wanted like the Ten Commandments outside like courthouses and state buildings and stuff like that, but that's illegal because
No, I
it's just.
don't.
Oh, you don't remember that? Okay, this is years ago. But there used to be this thing where a lot of politicians were like, oh, all laws and the government is based on the Ten Commandments. It's not, or in the Bible, it's not. Um, so we want the Ten Commandments like on the courthouse steps, and it's illegal though. You can't do that. Just like I don't want Sharia laws, on the courthouse. Like, don't do that. So Stephen
You know
Colbert
the
was.
shitstorm that would like cause of influencing like decisions of. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's not. But once again, our government is already deeply influenced by the Christian right anyway. Like, there's a large dominionist wing. But anyway, the whole point of it is like Stephen Colbert is asking this congressperson who's trying to get the Ten Commandments on the courthouse. He's like, what are the Ten Commandments? And he didn't know them. And so it's like you're pushing super hard for this thing, but it's really just about branding. Like, we said this before. Like, this is basically just branding. People like being under this brand, and it makes them feel good because they can say, I'm a good person. Look at this lowercase t around my neck. But no one actually wants to do the work of what does it mean to live a moral life? Is this ethical? Like, that's work.
Go
And it does
to
sometimes involve
therapy.
reading. And therapy is work.
Go to therapy.
You
It
remember
allows you.
the pickle Rick episode of Rick and Morty, where
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
he's sitting there when he finally does go to therapy,
yeah.
and she's like, look, I'm sure you would hate therapy. It just the way I don't like brushing my teeth or wiping my ass. It's boring, but it's maintenance and it has to be done. And so
Which is, I mean, I know it's a cartoon show, so like, but the example that she gives, I'm just like, I wouldn't never found those things boring. I just do them. Like I don't think about them.
And
like,
quite honestly, therapy is, once you kind of get into it, I look forward to it. Because it's like, I feel so much better afterwards. And like you said, saying things out loud is so much different than just thinking them. Because it can kind of just swirl around as half-baked mush in your brain. But when you have to actually give words to something, you have to run it through a different filter. And sometimes when you run it through that filter, you realize, oh, this is gibberish. This is just dumb. And I have no problem admitting when I'm doing I don't no problem, but I at least willing to admit when I'm doing something dumb. I don't always love it. No, but at a certain point, I know my brain is dumb and it's going to do dumb things. So I have to have correction mechanisms in place. And I can't be all upset when it's like, oh, I actually am wrong about this. Well, no shit. I'm dumb.
I just like taking the Bill Burr approach. I know I don't know shit. So
I'm an idiot.
I'm an idiot and I'm okay with that. And I'll leave it up to people who are more versed in certain situations. And, when I know something, then I will, speak on it. But yeah, I don't know. So
for the most part, my expertise is very, very narrow. And even though neither of us are experts, let's say on the Bible or ancient languages, with what we have now, it seems like if this God person really wanted us to know about it could have done a better job than this.
And which is also, again, bring it back to just being agnostic. Why I'm comfortable now saying that even more so is just because like I'm open to it. I think I like to stay open-minded. So maybe there is a guy. I don't know. I just think that maybe time to do that updated version of this book then.
Or let's just do something new. Like sometimes it's just time to go back to the drawing board. I don't think this is even because like the Hoteps and stuff like that and Blackish, like so many people want this Bible to be about them, so that because it reminded me of a quote. I may get it wrong, but basically about how most people aren't interested in justice. They just want to be the ones holding the whip. Whereas totally. I would much rather just have justice. I don't want to dominate anybody.
Well, that's ego. That's ego. That's all ego.
Or id, because what's ego and what's id? Because I think id is the one that makes you an asshole.
I don't know anything, people. So maybe I'm using these terms incorrectly. Ego,
I feel like the id is when you just think about yourself, and ego is like how you want other people to see you.
Again, I don't know anything. So whatever term. The point I'm making is...
Did you not take psychology? We were at the same school.
I did, but I didn't take it there, first of all. And when I took it, I didn't pay attention to it. So
there you go.
Maybe had I had a teacher...
Money well spent.
Maybe if I had a teacher like I had now with the doc class who just forces you to write and watch shit all the time, maybe I would have learned a lot more. But the point I'm making is... you got to get outside of yourself. And... it's bigger than you. It's bigger than all of us. Stop taking things so personal. Go to therapy. Get vaccinated.
Point well
that's
taken.
What makes you a good person.
Well, let's go out. Let's go out on agreement, because I agree with all of that, and also your body belongs to you. So keep that in mind. So be responsible.
It isn't really a no. I'm just trolling now. I'm just fucking trolling.
Your body belongs to you. So like with Bill Burr, he did have that spot on that. He was like, no doesn't mean no. Like no means no, but no.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Like he's like, that no doesn't mean no. And you're like, no, stop it. He's like, no doesn't mean no.
I totally agree with that.
But when I say your body belongs to you, because I never got that message enough. I was always told that basically my body, my mind belongs to the Lord. And I don't think it does. I think I'm the captain of my soul. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Thank you for your time, everyone. It's really appreciative of everything. And I will talk to you soon.
Adios.
Peace.